podcast massacre. My name is Jeff. I am joined by my two wonderful co-hosts,
Heather Alexander
and Willie Greer.
And this is a podcast dealing with the horror genre from the perspective of three very different horror nerds. We are in a different environment today. We are at Crypticon Seattle 2026, sitting in a hotel room, feeling wonderful after 2 nights of debauchery.
Jeff, can you keep it down, please?
Yeah, I definitely haven't been resurrected yet.
Yeah, so basically we're just going to have a freewheeling conversation kind of about the convention and what we've experienced. We've all been on numerous panels this weekend. So, does anybody want to talk about Friday night, like the panels they were on?
I fortunately had a few hours to kind of get warmed up. I think it wasn't until 6 or so that I had my first panel, but I did hit the ground running with Philosophy of Horror, which was moderated by a longtime friend of mine, Dan Gildark, a Seattle filmmaker, very dear, wonderful person, and he took his assignments very seriously. He fucking worked up these like PowerPoint decks to go through all these different facets, and we went deep into various people like Noel Carroll's Philosophy of Horror, and we added our own takes. It was me, Gildark, and Brian Gorham, and it was a very, very spirited discussion. In general, I think like we always, and by we I mean me, I guess, can only speak for myself, kind of the first 10 minutes are always usually a little bit awkward, but there was a flow going in a very short time, and the audience was very engaged. It kind of just became like a discussion rolling around the room, and this was a theme that popped up numerous times over the weekend, like getting to the very end and being like, fuck, I wish we had another hour. We're just getting cooking.
Yeah.
Which I guess is good. It's better than to end on a fart. Just always leave them wanting more, I guess.
Yeah, I've noticed, like, when being on panels, there's a certain vibe between the panelists and then also the audience. And you can kind of pick up on that usually within the first 10 or 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. I was lucky, like all of the panels I was on this weekend, I just felt really good, and it seemed like there was a lot of connectivity with the audience, and they seemed enthused and entertained. But I've had previous years where it just kind of feels like everything everybody is saying is just kind of like dropping like a rock or something. It's like people are just kind of staring at you blank-faced. So, but this weekend was, I thought everything went well, at least for me, on all the panels.
Oh, definitely. Immediately after Philosophy of Horror, we jumped into mental disorders in horror, which, I'm an armchair analyst at best, but I've done a lot of research into Jungian psychology, and my input was mostly films that are allegorical for mental illnesses rather than a clinical depiction. But there were a few that I thought of, and fortunately my wife is a therapist, so she was a great sounding board. And she was really enjoying it, so we were nerding the fuck out about, like, does Annie Wilkes have borderline? Oh, yeah, totally. So, yeah, kind of the 2 in a row, just, like, heavy, deep topics. And that was moderated by a newcomer, Scarlett Celestino, and she killed it. And I always love it, watching a new panelist pop their cherry, hit the ground running, especially if they're moderating. It's a beautiful thing to... watch them go, oh, hey, I can do this.
I should get you a copy. I think it's called Monsters on the Couch, and it's essentially analyzing movie monsters and what kind of mental affliction they have.
I would love to read that.
Yeah, I'll get you a copy. My panel on Friday was a softball. It was comfort horror, which was the easiest panel that I had. I didn't really have to do much.
You didn't have to do any prep.
Yeah, and I actually saved prep for Adam and I have been in Seattle since Tuesday because we came to Seattle to see a couple of concerts. We saw Halloween, and then the next day we saw Queens of the Stone Age. And so we've been here for a while, and I did prep for that panel on Thursday while we were at the hotel. And I'm grateful for that because two other of my panels were a beast. And then so it went well. I didn't get the audience experiences like you two did. All the audiences were great, but they were barely interactive. So yeah.
And that was Friday night.
Yeah,
but you felt that way for all of them this weekend? Or?
Pretty much, yeah. There was some good discussion at the end of the witchcraft one, I think. But yeah, it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't spirited. It wasn't, but I only gave them like 10 minutes, at the end, and there wasn't a lot of conversation happening during the panels. So
what? Because I was sitting in on your witchy woman panel, and I thought like everybody, the audience was like really engaged.
Yeah.
Because you were really it was like a very kind of scholarly panel where you're going through the different eras of feminism. So I think people are really, kind of engaged in listening to what, they're learning something. Like certain panels, like the one I did, like, hey, I liked it. It's more like you bring up a title and people are like, oh,
Yeah.
And stuff. So it's a different type of
Yeah,
panel,
and I liked the scholarly aspect of my two panels that were really difficult, but I also missed the kind of fun and camaraderie of the kind of panels that you were on this year. So I might try to mix it up a little bit next year and make sure that I have some.
I thought last year that when we did the movies that made me, that was fun, right? Because I think the audience was, kind of.
Yeah, I'd like to figure out something for the three of us to do next year that would be similar to that.
One thing, and this is like a real kind of art form, I think, is like scheduling certain panels for a certain type of or time of day. Like I think the scholarly panels are better early afternoon, and the more spirited ones
in the evening.
Yeah, later in the evening.
Yeah.
I just think that would.
Yeah.
Because sometimes by the time it's like 8 or 9 o'clock, you're like, I am tired. I do not,
yeah.
I don't want to lecture.
You didn't have any panels on Friday, right?
I had 0 on Friday. I listened to sat in on one of Willie's and one of yours, and then we went up to the 13th floor and kind of hung out for a little while.
Yeah. What were your panels on Saturday?
Saturday I had the Hey, I Liked It, which is basically another. I explained it as like to the audience of like, let's say you're like this weekend you're sitting around with a bunch of friends and people are talking about a movie, and everybody else is like, oh God, that was horrible. That was awful. What an abomination to cinema. And you're like, hey,
I liked it.
AKA the conversation Heather and I have every fucking week.
Yeah.
This is the conversation I have with everybody because I like garbage and people are, very strict on what
so that
like.
was fun. And then, there was like 4 other panelists and everybody had really wild movies that they like, of course, and then the audience kind of chimed in with some movies too at the end. So that was like really, really a lot of fun. And then Willie and I, after that, were on the Frankenstein on film panel, which I thought went really, really well too.
Super, super fun. A little bit underattended. I think we were in competition with like a Terrifier panel. And this weekend, weekend belonged to Art the Clown.
It was dominated by that fucking clown.
Yeah, well, he was here. What is it, David
Thornton,
Howard Thornton,
Howard Thornton, and then a couple of other cast members from the series were there, and I know his line for the autographs and pictures were.
It
long.
was never
Always.
less than 100 people.
Yeah, a ton of that, and a lot of the t-shirts and costumes I saw were all Terrifier inspired. It seemed like. So.
Yeah.
That's what all the kids like. So.
I know. Oh my God. I mean, they're fine movies, but I don't. The fandom around it's bizarre.
I don't vibe with them at all.
Yeah.
But I support the fandom.
Sure.
Y'all do y'all.
Yeah.
I'm old. I'm too old for these movies, I think.
My panel, I think my first panel on Saturday was a panel that I created called Stay Scared, the Science of Fear. And so it was broken up into different aspects of fear. So you've got the primal fear, the lizard brain, and the science of that and how that works in horror. and then going on to political and sociological horrors, and how, you know, the current climate affects what we think is scary, and then examining childhood fears and how those stick with us throughout the years and how that influences what we think is scary as adults. And then we didn't get to the filmmaking techniques, how filmmakers essentially try to bypass the lizard brain, or bypass the our conscious brain to our lizard brain, so that the fear that scares and fear is more effective in filmmaking, because we were running short on time, so we didn't get to that. And then just examining the epigenetics, which is essentially a different expression of a gene that you have that basically changes how you perceive and experience. So the fact that, like, if you are so submersed in horror all the time, that it actually can rewrite your genes so that you become a horror fan, or you become a fan of what you're doing and what you're immersed in. It was fascinating. So I read this book called oh God, I forget.
We'll find it, and you can look for it in the show notes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's been a long week. Anyways, I read this book about the science of fear and horror, which was really fascinating. And so, yeah, that panel, it was just like me essentially like talking about all of this stuff that I read and talking to the panelists. And so it was less interactive with the audience than I would have liked, but I always felt like I was short on time.
And that was going on the exact same time that we were doing the Hey, I Liked It.
Yeah, and I feel like we had about maybe 25 people in that panel. And when I went to go shut the doors to get started, it was like standing room only in your like, there was like a line out your panel to like for people to get in. I was like, fuck, I can't compete with them, because it's just more fun, you know, and it's less like, yeah.
Yeah, and then the third panel I had was Let's Talk Kaiju 2, which is, you know, kaiju movies. And it was me and Gretchen Brooks was on the panel, and we had John Portnova and Justin, who was a new panelist. He was really good. Everybody was really good on the panel. But I noticed, like, I see the exact same faces every year, like the same people who were there last year were there this year, because I know, like, kaiju movies is a very kind of niche.
You mean the audience?
Audience, yeah. I recognize, like, all the same people who were there last year.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
We all have our fetishes, yeah.
Yeah.
What were you on? What was your panel on Saturday?
Let's see. I kicked things off. God, it was so long ago. I think, around 5 we did. For the last 4 years, I think I've done a lecture basically called "Psychological Archetypes of the Movie Monster," which is a very, very short, compacted version of material that is also a book that I'm working on, and that I also hope to turn into a college course pretty soon in the future here.
That would be amazing.
I would love to do it.
Can I take that course?
We'll see.
Do I have to go to school?
I would love to have you.
Thanks.
So this year I got paired up with a panelist named Lily Munn, and found out that she's a horror nerd after my own heart. She's also very into Jungian archetypes and the Jungian approach to horror. And I will admit that when I first heard about that, I got a little bit territorial. I was like, hey, is someone bucking for my job here? What's going on? But we did kind of reach out and communicate what we wanted to talk about ahead of time. And we spent a little bit of time with kind of a model of character archetypes that she had, and then I kind of presented the model that I'm working on. And there was really great back and forth. I think we both kind of inspired each other and pointed out, you know, where we could both explore and improve our own models a little bit. So I think this is going to be the start of a beautiful, creative friendship.
That's awesome.
Totally,
That's really awesome.
That's the kind of thing that happens all the time here at Crypticon. It's why I think Jeff and I have been coming since 2010, you know. it is comparatively a very small convention, but that really allows for a lot more intimacy and interaction between everybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just gets more magical every year. I think, not to be too much of a hippie about it, but
Yeah.
there's kind of a hippie vibe here. I don't know. It's very warm and fuzzy.
It's true.
Yeah, it's not like there's so many cons that are kind of, they just feel super corporate. It's like, you know, they just want to shuffle people in and out like cattle for pictures and autographs and this and that. And there are panels, but not nearly. I mean, Crypticon has so many panels.
Yeah, I
right?
think
I
it,
mean,
it feels panel forward in a
Yeah.
way, you know?
Yeah. And I think like the celebrity experience here is totally different than like the other cons, because they're like at a table in a room. There's not a lot of handlers like, oh, don't take a picture, don't do this, don't do that. And especially if you come like on a Friday night or a Sunday, which are not the busiest day, like Saturday, you can go up and have a conversation. Like last year you did
Yeah.
with Rye Barrett, right?
Oh my God, yeah. I just
And then-
like walked up to Johnny from In a Violent Nature and I was like, hey, you're cool. And we had a really awesome conversation about the movie and kind of behind the scenes look at his experience. And we talked about horror trivia. And yeah, I was just like, can we be friends?
Yeah.
And he said yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, I would say anybody who's in the Pacific Northwest and you've been thinking about coming to Crypticon, do it. It's fun.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, where was I? I think after Archetypes we did horror trivia, which we can talk about later, and then closed out the night with another super deep, super nerdy Dan Gildark special, Oniric, The Power of Dream State in Horror Films,
Oh,
which we did
cool.
with Brian Callahan, and that was super fucking fun. Going through, all the obvious ones from Un Chien Andalou to Murnau and Carl Dyer's Vampire, and then moving into Maya Deren, David Lynch, Gaspar Noé. Super fun, and that stuff is totally my jam.
Yeah.
Was that pretty well attended and like?
Did pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Again, to your point, we probably should have those kind of panels a little earlier in the day.
Yeah, because that was like 8. Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
But the people who were there were very into it, so I'll take quality over quantity, I suppose.
Yeah. One of my panels, after the Stay Scared panel, I did a low budget panel, which was, again, pretty easy research. And we just talked about low budget horror films, and what makes horror fans love them and what makes the genre really susceptible, to embrace low budget movies when, that kind of thing isn't really acceptable in any other genre really. And then I think the panel that I prepped most for was the witches and feminism panel. That fucking beast took up like 3 weeks of my life in April.
I wish to God I could have been there for that one.
Yeah, I thought you did a great job on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was essentially, and again, I referenced heavily a book that I kind of stumbled upon before I started my research that was perfect, and it was literally Witches, the Phases of Feminism in Horror Movies, and I was like, what the fuck? This book is amazing, and again, I forget the title. I can update the notes with that, but yeah, so essentially the panel is examining each wave of feminism, how the image of the witch was portrayed during that phase of feminism in culture and in horror movies, and how that evolved with each phase of feminism to where we are now, which, you go from kind of like the fabled hag to the sexy, dangerous, coven witch, and then the rebellious, normal is not the way kind of witch, and then now the rage witch.
Yeah. yeah. The book is That Very Witch:
Yes,
Fear,
thank you.
Feminism, and the American Witch.
Yes.
Film.
Phenomenal book.
I'm 100% that witch.
Yeah, and then we did trivia. right?
Yep,
And
yep.
that was great.
Well-oiled machine we are now.
Yeah, no doubt. We're like, everybody sit down and shut up.
Yeah, because we only have an hour to do it up here, and there's only 3 rounds instead of 4. But getting teams in and settled and team names and all that stuff. Sometimes it takes 10-15 minutes before you even start asking your first question.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought last night we were done right like at 6:59.
Yeah,
right
we were.
before they have something else going on
Yeah.
up there. But yeah, it was fun. Seems like everybody enjoyed the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Did you guys go into the celebrity area and meet anybody?
Oh, in the VIP section?
No, not in the VIP section. Down in the hall, like
The vendor.
Adrian.
Oh, the vendors room.
Yeah.
I just stalked. Kind of.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Oogled them.
Yeah.
But I did not. I did not get any autographs. But yeah.
I want to just stand in front of Adrienne Barbeau's table and just stare lovingly at her. I don't want to pay $90 to meet her, but I love her so much.
I remember was it last year or the year before on a Sunday, Joe Dante was here, and he didn't have anybody at his table.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go up and say how much I liked his movies and shake his hand and stuff. And he was like totally like, that's the nice thing. They don't feel like, oh, you have to buy something.
I know, but they're here to get paid, right? So it's just like, I feel bad.
Well, I think okay, if you're not in competition where somebody's waiting in line for something, but at least with Joe Dante, it was like nobody was there. So I was like,
right.
I'm just going to go up and talk to him for a minute.
I mean, that's what I did with Rye Barrett, and I didn't feel as bad because he was kind of new to the scene, and everybody was at Joe Bob's table at that point, and he looked all lonely and needed a friend. Which I would have, if Josh Rubin had showed up. Josh Rubin was supposed to be at the convention and had to cancel because of work, and it broke my little heart because I love him so much, and I would have just sat at his feet and looked up at him lovingly.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But now you don't have to deal with the restraining order, so it probably worked out for the best.
That's true. No jail time.
Which is why I didn't approach Emily Perkins' table. I was
Okay.
Yeah, like other than like we had mentioned the Terrifier cast is here, but like Adrienne Barbeau, like Heather mentioned, Tom Atkins is here, Emily Perkins. Some good guests.
Some people from Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, some of the stars of that. And
Nathan Basil from Behind the Mask.
Oh yeah, because they just announced the sequel.
Finally, thank God.
Yeah, 20 years later.
I guess we're still in the crowdfunding phase, so I should fingers crossed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
yeah, our friend Bob Foster, who's a panelist here and a part of the Ghostbusters group, he got one of the Halloween 3, the Skull Mask, signed by Tom Atkins. And
so fucking cool.
Yeah, it was like really. He was sitting behind us at one panel, and he brought it in there. And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
That's awesome. So speaking of celebrity interactions, last night on the 13th floor. So the 13th floor, for those of you not in the know, Crypticon has kind of an after hours party floor that if you have a ticket to the con, you can get up to. And it's just essentially people from the con, drinking and getting weird. There's all these different rooms, themed rooms. There's karaoke. It's pretty fun. So last night, I went up there and we're hanging out, and I walked over and saw Matt Dinneman, who is the author for the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. And I had met him before he blew up in fame. I met him 2 years ago. And he was at a little table with all of his books, and nobody was around him. And I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey, I work for Powell's, and people love you at Powell's, and whatever." And he's like, "Oh, that's good." 'Cause the hardcovers hadn't been published yet. He still was independently publishing his soft covers. So yeah, he was kind of like a under the radar author, and now he's the biggest fucking thing ever.
Well, I saw he had the second biggest line after Art the Clown.
I know, he is so fucking famous right now. So I saw him up there and I was like, oh my God. And so I was introduced to him, and we chatted for a little bit. And then a local author, Clay, had told me earlier that Philip Fracassi was going to be here, who is also a horror author that is huge. I mean, when I was talking to Philip, he was like, "I'm nobody," and I was like, "That's crazy."
Yeah, I had a beer with him yesterday in the bar.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Gretchen and Kelly know him.
Okay.
So he sat down, and I was like, "That's Philip Fracassi." And
I
he's like,
know,
yeah, so,
right? Yeah. So I talked to him.
Yeah, he was totally cool.
I talked to him for a while, and yeah, he had this like very humble complex of just like I write books, but nobody knows who I am, and I was like, that's insane. People know who you are.
Yeah, he was telling us amusing stories. He worked on the movie The Prophecy with Christopher Walken that came
Really?
out. He was like something on the set. You know,
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
what position,
Wild.
but he was telling us some Christopher Walken stories and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
I'm totally ignorant about both of these people. I feel terrible.
Yeah,
No, I mean, it's just like, author like geeking out about horror authors.
I did run into Gretchen in the lobby, and she was like, "This is so cool! I got all of my books signed by Johnny." What'd you say? What's his name? The first guy?
Oh, Dinniman.
Dinniman.
Matt Dinniman. Yeah.
Matt Dinniman. Where the fuck did that come from?
Johnny.
Johnny Marinara. Yeah, she was super excited about that, and she also brought her 9th configuration poster for Tom Atkins to sign. I was like, "Wow, that's a deep cut, dude."
Yeah.
Yeah, she said he was like, "Wow," or whatever. Because I'm sure, most of the things that Tom Atkins is having signed at a horror convention is either from Halloween 3 or Night of the Creeps or Creep Show,
Right.
maybe Escape from New York, The Fog, but yeah, 9th configuration. That's a deep cut.
I have Matt Dinniman's first book, the first Dungeon Crawler Carl book, and it's the soft cover that he independently published. That we would get at Powell's, we would get 2 to 3 copies at a time. We were ordering it from the publisher. It was short discount and impossible to get. It was $18, and we'd get 1 to 3 at a time. And then so I bought one, and I never opened it. It's fresh. It's a virgin. And now that fucking book is worth $400-$500.
Really?
And I meant to bring it to get him to sign it, because if he signs that particular copy, it's worth $1,000, and I completely forgot it at home because I was so manic with preparing to leave my house for Seattle for a week.
Philip said yesterday that Matt had brought a bunch of kind of rare books and stuff.
Oh, really?
And he was sold out within 2 hours on
Oh,
Friday.
hell yeah.
Of all his rare stuff.
Yeah, I wonder how much he was selling it for.
Yeah, I have no idea. And it's funny because I have not read Matt Dinniman, and I'd only really honestly heard of him maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I guess somebody had said oh, and I saw I guess his new books have been republished with these colorful covers. So I was like, oh yeah, I never heard of this. And then when Crypticon said, I guess he's been
been here
vending here for years or something like that. So.
Yeah, I think he was supposed to be here last year, but he didn't come for some reason, but I met him the year before. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's a local that people know, and now he's this huge name, and he's still pretty humble and cool.
I think that's why, you have people the Terrifier cast and Matt Dinniman, it brings people in the door to buy tickets. So that's why they gotta, they can't have all these old celebrities that we like. You gotta have some young folks in there.
Any other highlights from this weekend?
I mean, I always get such a fucking kick out of the 13th floor parties. Just because of the vibe of it. I guess the fact that it's in a hotel room and the hallways are always super crowded. I think last year or the year before, we literally had hotel staff constantly going down the hallway just trying to make space just to cut a swath in the middle and get us all up against the walls because it was so fucking crowded.
Wow.
But that vibe just always reminds me of, I guess, spring break parties that I see in movies that I've always been too much of a scrawny nerd to ever be a part of. So I have a little bit of, there's some catharsis in that. And there's just no shortage of conversation. I'm a very introverted person, And I'm not sure how much time I'm going to need to recharge after this, because there's a difference between like just being in a crowd and then being in a crowd of people that you could have a fucking hour-long conversation with just about anybody in the room. And that's always such a high. Like I couldn't sleep at all last night. And I don't think it was necessarily because I partied too hard. I don't think I drank that much. It was just kind of adrenaline and serotonin, you know?
Yeah. I love going up to the 13th floor because, you know, when you're at a con and you're on panels, or you see people in the vending room, you don't really have time to, you're just like, oh, nice to see you. But up there, you know, people go up there, a lot of the regulars, and you actually have time. Nobody has anything to do but just hang out and talk.
Yeah.
So that's a blast to do that.
I'm going to be a sentimental nerd and say one of my favorite moments of the con was last night when we spent a half an hour in the hotel room watching VHS and drinking beer.
That was lovely.
We just like, everybody had just gotten off all their panels. We had done trivia. We had eaten already, and we needed like a half an hour to just chill the fuck out before we went to the 13th floor.
Yeah.
Popped in VHS and was just like, yeah. I mean,
something
I don't know.
Relaxing.
Yeah. I mean, we always bring like our Chromecast here because I love watching horror in the hotel room, just in general, wherever I am. And so it works out for Crypticon really well, but I always want to have a movie night at Crypticon, but everybody's so busy partying that like nobody wants to do that. So it was nice to have a little bit of a sliver of that.
And I also enjoyed on Friday night, we had kind of the same experience, like, okay, let's chill in your room for 30 minutes. And what better way to chill than to put on Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
That's right. I put Texas Chainsaw Massacre on.
So like, this is going to, horror nerds, they're going to be calmed by that. It's like a meditation or something.
I'm sorry I missed that one.
Oh, you were not?
You were on a panel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Stupid panel.
So we're about to do our last round in the vendor hall to snag up any goodies that we missed the first time and the second time and the third time.
Yeah.
I want to see. I think that I had my eye on Happy Birthday, VHS of Happy Birthday to Me. It was like $50. I think I'm going to go back down and get it if it's still there. We'll see.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to get. I'm probably, I mean, I it's always my default to blow most of my money on physical media.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to hit those because and there's always there's a handful of tables, but a couple of them are so crammed with product that there's always something that I miss.
Absolutely.
And they probably also are like replacing stuff that gets bought with something that isn't the same item.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's the Land of Beyond.
That's the one.
Is the company that they have a lot of posters, a lot of movies, some books, rare stuff. But that table is always packed with people. So sometimes I'm just like, I'll come back later.
Yeah.
And now's the time to go back later.
Yeah.
You gotta love any vendor table that's got a section called movies to give you weird boners.
Our kind of people. So then we start our 3-hour journey back to Portland.
I know in previous years on Sunday, when you and I leave, it's pretty quiet, right? We're just kind of like zoning out after 3 days of conning.
Yeah.
Just processing.
Yeah.
Assimilating it all.
And one of the fun things, too, is like starting tonight and then throughout the week, you'll be able to go on Instagram and see all the photos everybody and your friends have taken of Crypticon.
Yeah, I think I've taken 3 photos this entire fucking weekend. So the funny thing is we spent Tuesday through Friday in downtown Seattle with friends and doing God knows what. I took about 150 photos during that time, and then I get here and I've taken 3 photos.
I've taken some, but
yeah, you'll have to we'll have to share so we can.
We'll make an album or something.
Just living in the moment, man.
Because that's the thing is that like it's just so busy all the time. I'm always running from one panel to the next and looking at my notes and making sure I'm prepared that I just forget to have fun.
Willie got some good video of the Velociraptor.
Oh God, I love her so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had gotten the video of her surprising you when you came out of the restroom, but I did get her ambushing somebody coming out of the elevator.
Yeah.
And it was just that moment of pure terror, and then and she gives him a hug. So delightful.
Yeah.
And a lot of amazing cosplay this year too.
Yep.
Totally.
Saw a couple of pearls,
Mm-hmm.
which are pretty nice. I saw a Jimmy from 28
That was funny. Yeah.
years later, which is pretty fun.
Lots of Art the Clowns.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple. Somebody was there was like a duo who were like Baba Yaga and her hut. So there was
Oh
somebody
my
like wearing the
God.
hut with chicken feet. It was
That's
so
amazing.
fucking cool.
I wonder who won the costume contest. Maybe they'll post it.
Maybe Zombie Barbie. That was pretty impressive.
I didn't see that
She was
either.
like in a box in the Barbie box.
Oh,
What the fuck?
I think
Yeah.
I saw the box, or somebody had a box, but nothing was in it. So, but
Zombie Barbie's on the loose. All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
If you are in Portland and you're a horror nerd, I mean I think we've had like a couple of one-off horror conventions over the last 15 years. There's a little bit of a dearth, but I think us in Seattle we're kind of in a complementary relationship. We found out last night that like so many revival second-run theaters have closed down in Seattle.
Oh wow.
And yeah, there's like nothing left anymore. And Jason Weiss, one of the people who run the con, was very envious of the Hollywood and all of the embarrassment of movie theater riches that we have in Portland.
Wow.
But then we're like, well, we don't have any cons. We have to come up here. So there is like a trade-off. But if you haven't been to Crypticon, I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah.
It's if you're an introvert, you will not be socially overwhelmed. And it's almost guaranteed you will make connections and find new friends and learn some stuff, be inspired and stimulated by what people have to say. I will keep coming until it doesn't exist anymore, or I don't exist anymore.
yeah, every year being on panels, I have a couple of movies that I write down. I'm like, okay, I got to see this. That either I haven't heard of or like reminds me, oh yeah, I need to watch that. So.
Yeah. And I guess just a plug for us. We're going to be at the drive-in again this summer. 99 West Drive-in in, where is it? Newburgh?
Newburgh.
Newburgh, yeah.
Yeah, 99 West. Last year we did, they had Thursday Night Terrors. Every other Thursday they would show horror movies. And we do trivia. So you can sit in your car, you'll have answer sheets, and we ask questions before the movie. Last year was a lot of fun. They screened like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Return of the Living Dead, Carrie. And the first one this year is like May 21st, I believe, and they're showing Scream and Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah. And the trivia is just for fun. There are no winners or losers.
Everybody's a winner.
Everybody's a winner.
I mean, if you're going in a caravan, you and the cars that you're with, you can compete against each other and police yourselves and make sure you're not cheating. However, we don't quite have the capacity to babysit everybody in a fucking car right now.
Yeah, there's like 100 cars in the lot, so
yeah.
there's no way.
Yeah, but it's a total blast. And the drive-in experience, because the 99 drive-in really doesn't look like it's aged since like 1959.
So true.
But yeah, it's a fun communal experience, especially on a warm summer night. Everyone has their chairs out.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's fun.
Yeah, last year we did twice a month for the summer. This year will be a little bit less, maybe only once a month, because it's really far.
It's a bit of a commute. But yeah, there are so few drive-in theaters these days, and it seems so very counterintuitive to have one in the Pacific Northwest. And I do not want to take it for granted. It's a beautiful experience.
All right, let's.
Yeah, and we'll be back. Our next episode will be we talk more about some movies that we've seen, and we'll have a topic we're going to discuss.
Totally. For now, we're just going to go back to the vendor hall and
spend more money.
Spend more money on horror.
And Heather's going to stare at Adrienne Barbeau.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe that restraining order's not far in my future after all.
Thanks, guys. for
I'll
listening.
post your bail again.